and welcome to the first of hopefully many podcasts that I'm going to be doing on the kind of general state of play, really. I haven't made a video for a while. I've made a few purchases, but nothing that really warranted making a video. I didn't really want to put you through another unboxing of a sovereign. So I thought I want to do something a bit different. I want to put my thoughts down. Kids are at school. I've got about 15 minutes until I've got to pick them up. And I just thought, it's quiet. I'm going to make a video. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So yeah, I mean, one of the other reasons I haven't made a video for ages is just because the amount of things that are going on in the world, and I just wanted to I was waiting for a kind of direction to see where things were going to go in terms of like my investment strategies going forward. Let's talk about roughly where we are with all this. Recapping gold, silver prices pretty much sideways. Let's face it, sod all has really changed. There was one little mini crash, a drop of about 4% was there, I think, last week. I actually gave up studying the gold price. I normally look at it constantly in a day, silver, all the precious metals, generally looking at everything from oil, Bitcoin, Euro, GBP, US dollar. I'm looking at all, and I just thought, I can't look at this anymore. And then there was this crash in the week, bit of a sell-off, but nothing, it dipped into the, I think mid 1800s, but we're at 1888, 1890 now. And silver's pretty much the same. I think it got near 26. We're about $24 now. It's all the same. It's the same. The market just cannot make up its mind where it wants to go with all this. I mean, the fundamentals remain the same. We've come out of one lockdown. There's been furlough, there's been job losses, there's businesses lost forever that will never open again. We're in the UK, I'm in the UK, we're in a second lockdown, which I want to have a quick rant about. I think is absolutely pointless. I think I am literally disgusted at the contempt that has been shown to the British public by the government to, Whitty and Valence and Johnson stand there in front of the nation, showing them graphs and projections of death figures of 4,000 a day based on old data. And then basically, actually, it turns out that when the data's, it turns out to be old, there aren't 4,000 people a day, there aren't even 1,000 people a day dying, we're into the hundreds, and actually, a lot of scientists are saying it's around the seasonal average. The NHS has always ran at 95% capacity since I've been alive. I can't think of a year where it hasn't. And actually, all the people in Liverpool, Manchester, those poor bastards being locked down, being made scapegoats really for the nation, spreading coronavirus, along with the students being treated like the Jews in World War II. They're all being held to account, for spreading coronavirus. I mean, if it was that bad, they shouldn't have been allowed to go back to university. It's ridiculous. I feel quite sorry for them. But my point is that to go back into a second lockdown with data that's not right, there's no impact assessment made on the economy. We should be looking at all the fundamentals now, not just COVID infections and deaths. What's the impact on missed operations, the NHS backlog, job losses, business closures? All that should be put in the mix, then a lockdown decision made. And to stand there in front of the public, like he did a couple of weeks ago, and say we need to lock it down with out-of-date data, just shows you. And I urge you to look at Carl Heneghan on YouTube, Talk Radio, and look at the data and the Barrington Report and the agreement. It's not conspiracy theories. Of course there's a virus and a flu around. It affects 0.02% of the population who've got underlying health conditions. The average age is 82, the people dying of it, okay? They're already chronically ill. They've got lung disease, type 2 diabetes, heart conditions. We're talking not only old, frail people, but people who are seriously ill, Anyway, so the consequences of this second month lockdown that we're in now is going to be catastrophic, I believe. at some point. I think that it's going to play out. I'm going to come on to how this, I think, will affect gold prices and all the rest of it in a minute. But you know, what we're seeing really is a kind of, you know, this. It's like it's unbelievable. There is no plan for exiting this lockdown. They can't think of anything else to do, and the money that's being printed and thrown at this is unbelievable. Our Chancellor has promised furlough can continue until March. I think next year's it's just rebranded some support scheme thing. You know, it's just tragic, really. It's all completely unnecessary importance. I'm for 100% for just going back to normal, informing the public of the risks, let people make their own decisions, isolate if they want to. Of course, wear masks on tube trains and in crowded places. That's fair enough, but you can't crush the economy, sacrifice millions of young people's lives, crush good, honest people's businesses they've built up over years, decades, all to save a tiny minority. And what, on top of all of that, compounding it, it's pretty obvious that the lockdowns don't work. The infection rates are still rising, and actually, you know, there's no scientific evidence for any of this at all. And it just makes you laugh when you see in the news the justifications. You know, some scientists say you must wear a face mask. Some scientists say you must be 2 meters apart. You know, in France it's 1 meter apart. In America it's 2.5 meters or whatever it is. You look at 10 different countries, they've got 10 different social distancing metrics, you know. They've got different rules. Japan, 130 million people don't even bother wearing face masks. They've got no rules in place. We won't go into Sweden, heard of that country, you know, the one with 10 million people, and just carried on as normal. And actually, they're no worse off than anyone else. They're just exactly the same. They're just being sensible, like I suggested we could do. And I think the problem with this paralysis that we're in now is leading to irrecoverable state of the economy and people's jobs. And what's amazing is that you turn on the BBC News, which is the main news media for the UK, and actually a lot of the channels are all pretty much, they are disgraced, the media and all this. I mean, to not have done a job in reporting of both sides of counter arguments of ways to deal with COVID is absolutely unforgivable. When you consider the media is there to hold governments to account, and they've done nothing, it's just, I just can't believe it. I'm speechless at the way the media has behaved in this whole thing. You know, there's no mention really on the news about any of the doom and gloom or the economic impacts. You get the odd thing, you know, oh yeah, you know, UK unemployment, it just continues to surge. You know, there's only a record high of nearly 350,000 people out unemployed now. You know, it only rose to nearly 5% now we're unemployed. You know, we were at 4%. We've gone up a whole percent in a month. You know, it doesn't really matter. You know, we're looking like the graph, the way it's travelling, it's going to be a bloodbath next year. Young people are being slaughtered. It's obviously clear, 16 to probably under, late 20s are going to get crushed. I feel very sorry for those people. And they've been totally slaughtered in all this, sacrificed in this, for something which is outrageous. It's an insult again maybe the first lockdown you could have forgiven the government. They didn't know what they were dealing with. You had to do something. You would have thought in that lockdown period the lesson learned would be to prepare the NHS for the winter. Done nothing like that at all. They've left hospitals still vulnerable. They've decided not to do anything at all to take account of the fact that the winter is obviously going to get a spike when we go into winter and have resources available. And we won't go into the fact that where I live and where other people live, it's clear that the hospitals are totally fine. They're not overrun. There aren't like car parks full of old people on ventilators. And there's kind of like this feeling that that's what you're being led to believe is going on in certain parts of the country. And I totally accept that in some ICUs in the country, they are at capacity. But to lock down, Cornwall with 40 cases of coronavirus, and about 3 people dying in a week, and crushing their already very, very fragile economy, is to me unforgivable. Especially as we had a tier system and means to deal with all this. How are they economically going to recover? From this, it's already, it's over. It's hard enough as it is when you live in these places to make money, but with this chucked into the mix, it's just going to be insane. So ultimately, before I go off on too much more of a rant, where is all this going to leave the small investor, the guy who wants to do something with his money and realizes that you don't want to stick it in a bank because you're going to get nothing back. Leaving it in a bank, you're going to get nothing back. What are we left with? I mean, and that's why I turned. Sounds like some sort of alcoholic actually, like in recovery. I turned to investing in gold, and that's what I've done for the last 10 years. Is basically, well, I'd say probably about 7 years, and seriously for about 4 to 5 years. I wish I'd started earlier. I still think that if you're thinking about investing in bullion, it's still a good time, believe it or not. I know that prices seem high at the moment. It makes me almost weep when I think I could have bought gold when it was around £850 an ounce, and now it's it's £1,450, £1,400 an ounce, and I was whining it £850 an ounce, thinking, oh, if only it would drop, and I think it would just be the same again. I think whining now at $1,900 an ounce, $1,450 an ounce, thereabouts. If we're talking in pounds, next year people will be whining that they didn't buy it now, and it's probably the same with silver. And I do like to dabble with. I mainly 99% of all my investments are physical bullion. I do like to dabble with online trading on spread betting platforms, fundamentally, ETFs, CFDs. I do like to do that occasionally because I find that it actually makes me more bullish about buying more physical metals the more I do it. So I like to just have a play, and it kind of keeps me in touch with the market. I think it's quite good just to have something at stake. Sometimes I might have only $100 at stake. I might have $1,000 or $5,000. I was consistently trading between about $2,000 and $4,000 or $5,000 a week, and I've dialed that right back to a couple of $100 at the moment. I got stung. I did well, and I got stung, and I've ended up, like in a video I made, I've ended up with pretty much where I started. Maybe I've made $300 or $400 out of the whole episode of spread betting, on gold and silver, and I probably have been lucky. There has been a bloodbath of people that don't know what they're doing. And I think this is a new. There's a whole wave of people out there now that have been furloughed and maybe made redundant, and they've got into this. They're making money online, trading stocks and shares and spread betting, and they're probably doing all right. They're probably spending their furlough money on it, and they may never return to work. I don't know. I mean, things have changed a lot. And Biden, Trump, what do we think about that? I think Biden, I think as far as I know, Democrats are going to spend more. I mean, that should, that may trigger gold prices to go up. But I mean, I don't want. I mean, talking about this in terms of long term, if you're thinking of them jumping in, I don't see that this is a bad time at all. I touched on a previous video that I think you should be wary now that I wouldn't go all in. I may, if I had X amount to allocate to gold and silver, I would probably spend maybe 50% now and hold 50% in reserve, just to see what's happening leading up to Christmas and that, because we don't know what's going to change, and I may be inclined to just keep that 50% back for just on the off chance that there is a really significant sell-off before Christmas or early next year, probably more than likely before Christmas. I don't see prices going down much lower than, I think 1900, 1865 is roughly the new baseline. I just don't see prices. I just don't know really. Return to $1,400 or sub £1,000 would be. I just can't see it. The upside is far. The fundamentals in place for an upside of $2,200 before 2021, and in 2021 lots of people are in the gold industry speculating $3,000 gold, $2,500 gold. I definitely think we can hit. I can't see really 2,200 gold being a problem. It's just I feel the market at the moment is really. It really is all over the place. But I mean, it's sideways, but I think it's not a bad thing considering the bull run that gold had. This period of kind of like consolidation isn't such a bad thing. And we have to consider a couple of factors. I mean, like, I wasn't that aware that 2/3 of all physical gold bought in the world is investment. Not investment, is for jewellery. India and China, they buy only, they buy their gold as jewellery, and only 1/3 is investment bullion. I think what that means is that if you think about the price of gold in dollar terms, and now how expensive it is if you live in those countries, in India, if you want to buy gold, we are talking, it's going to be right out of people's price ranges now. So I think all this price is driven by investors, investment, grade bullion buyers, and it was reported, wasn't it, that a week ago that the demand of gold is the golden bar and coin demand is up 50%. 50%. So 149 tons of gold went to 222 tons between July and September. That is an insane amount of growth, yeah? And that mostly came from coin demand and from investors. So, statistics show that combined demand for physical gold and ETFs has slowed following the earlier gold rush. But despite that, you've got nearly 500 tons of gold was bought in Q3. That's 21% up from 2019. That's insane. That is insane. The momentum is there, since August it's still going, and like I say, I think gold jewellery demand is at its lowest because of the countries that normally buy this. They just can't afford to buy it anymore, so that's an interesting one, but I mean, there are a lot of unanswered questions. Why has it taken 10 years for gold to reach its all-time high if we're in the economic state that we're in? I mean, that's just an unanswered question, really. Will it actually improve? Will it go up? Will it smash through 2084, you know, will it keep going and beyond? You know, if it's taken 10 years to get to the all-time high of 2011, then, you know, nearly 10 years, then is it going to take another 10 years to, you know, actually have a significant move again? I mean, this is the thing you have to remember with all gold, all forecasting, all market analysis, all of it is speculation. The whole thing, nobody could predict this. Nobody could have predicted COVID would have happened, you know, a year ago. It's insane, you know, to think that this is where we are now with it all. So yeah, I mean, my current situation is that I'm picking up small bits of gold here and there. I'm not going for anything, you know, risky. I'm really only buying bullion at the moment that I think is near to spot. And if I can, lucky enough to swindle a coin dealer that's got some gold hanging around in his cabinet for, you know, 6 months and has forgot to change its price, then that's fine. I say swindle, if that's the right word. He's probably still making a profit on it. It's just opportunist. So I'm continuing to pick up the gold, keep investing, and let me know what your thoughts are on this. There's a bit of a rant there at the beginning about the situation, but I think that, you know, these things are impacting investing. And, you know, I believe that, you know, we're not seeing the true economic fallout of it. It's being kind of repressed, and that will impact on, you know, on gold prices, you know, and interest rates. I think it's just a matter of time. I think the fundamentals are good for gold. I think you should be for physical. I would stick with physical. You can relax and not worry about the gold price changes and the volatility of it at the moment. And just, you know, long gold long is good. And yeah, that's just some thoughts. So anyway, thanks for listening. Any comments or questions, leave them on YouTube, and I will hopefully post another update soon.